fundamentally disagree with the notion that there is no trade-off between civil liberties and security. Benjamin Franklin was wrong. I think Aaron Barak may have overstated it, and I think Professor Parody overstates it. We do give up a little bit of liberty in the interests of security. We, however, often disguise it. For example, in law enforcement, yes, Barghouti was arrested, but he was tried with tremendous compromises to civil liberties. I would not call his trial a paradigm of democratic due process. The same thing is true when we treated as law enforcement issue the Nazis who came ashore during the Second World War. Yes, we treated them as a law enforcement problem. We put them on trial, but the trial was a kangaroo court. So there are always going to be compromises. There is no free lunch. And I hope we try our best to keep the compromises to a minimum. It's long been said that the first casualty of war is often civil liberties, and that's true. And that's why we should always be reluctant to go to war. But the first casualty of overuse of law enforcement in order to get a 99% conviction rate, which is what Professor Parody kind of boasted about, as a criminal defense lawyer, you don't get 99% conviction rates generally without some compromise of due process, of the right to counsel, of exclusionary rules, of other kinds of things. We're all tempted to use law enforcement, but when we compromise law enforcement, we do actually more damage. It was the great Justice Jackson who said when the liberal president of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, locked up 110,000 Americans in Japanese detention centers as a law enforcement measure. It was Justice Jackson who said, if that were done by the military, that would just be an incident. But when the Supreme Court affirmed it and said it was legitimate, that turned it into a loaded weapon lying around to be used by any tyrant. So although the line between law enforcement and war is often not a clear line, I think we have to try to keep it as separate as possible. And just to repeat my final point, fighting terrorism requires law enforcement, diplomacy, economics, politics, and war. And I think without war, we cannot defeat regional and international terrorists. We might be able to defeat domestic terror.